For 5 years, the most feared mafia boss in Seoul came here alone. Jin-woo knelt at the gravestone, rain soaking through his black suit. He placed white roses on the marble like he did every week. The framed photo showed his wife Sarah, smiling, the woman he loved, the woman he'd buried. Footsteps behind him, slow, deliberate. A woman's voice cut through the rain, cold and sharp. "Your wife never died." Jin-woo froze. He turned slowly. An elegant woman in a black coat stood there, red lipstick stark against pale skin. She held out a photograph. "Sarah is alive, Jin-woo, and I can prove it." The photo showed a woman from behind, walking down a foreign street. Brown skin, natural hair, same build. On her left hand was a ring he recognized, the sapphire engagement ring he'd given Sarah. His legs nearly gave out. "This was taken 3 months ago," the woman said, "in Malaysia." Jin-woo's hands shook as he stared at the photo. 5 years of grief, of guilt, of visiting this grave every week, all of it based on a lie? The stranger turned to leave. "The truth about your wife, Jin-woo, was buried deeper than her grave." Then she disappeared into the rain. If you're hooked already, do me a favor right now, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me what you think is happening, and hit subscribe because what comes next will blow your mind. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. What Jin-woo was about to discover would destroy 5 years of grief and everything he thought he knew about the woman he married. He stood there alone, staring at the photograph, his entire world crumbling. That ring. He'd given it to Sarah when he proposed because she wanted something simple, not flashy, something that reminded her of the ocean where they first met. But Sarah was dead. He'd held her funeral. He'd mourned her for 5 years. Hadn't he? His mind raced back to that day, the phone call from the hospital, the closed casket funeral, the doctors telling him the body was too damaged to view, better to remember her as she was, they said. He'd never actually seen her body. Jin-woo pulled out his phone with shaking hands and made a call. "Minho," he said when his head of security answered, "I need you to pull every file we have on Sarah's accident, medical reports, police records, witness statements, everything, and I need it tonight." "Sir, it's been 5 years. Tonight, Minho." He hung up and looked back at the gravestone. If Sarah was alive, if she'd been alive this whole time, then someone had lied to him. Someone had helped her disappear. Someone had let him believe she was dead. Someone was going to pay. But first, he needed to understand who Jin-woo had been before all this, because the man standing at that grave wasn't the same man who'd ruled Seoul's underworld with ruthless precision. Jin-woo had built his empire from nothing. By 30, he controlled half the city's underground operations. Politicians took his calls. Rival organizations knew better than to cross him. He was feared, respected, untouchable. He was also completely alone. Money bought power, but it didn't buy connection. He trusted no one, needed no one, loved no one. That was his strength, people said. No weaknesses meant no way to hurt him. Then he met Sarah at a charity gala he only attended for appearances. He was at the bar, bored, when he heard someone laugh, really laugh, not the polite fake laughter that filled these events, but genuine joy. He turned and saw her talking with a group of people, animated and bright. She wore a simple navy dress while everyone else drowned in designer labels. He found himself walking towards her before he'd made the conscious decision to move. When she turned and saw him, she didn't have the flash of recognition and fear that usually crossed people's faces. She just smiled. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," she said. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who feels the same way." She held out her hand. "Sarah Chen, my boss made me come. What's your excuse?" He shook her hand and felt something shift in his chest. "Jin-woo, and I don't really have one." They spent the whole night talking. She made him laugh for the first time in years. She asked questions no one else dared to ask. She treated him like he was human, not dangerous or important or feared, just human. By the end of the night, he knew he was in trouble. By the end of the month, he was in love. Sarah changed everything. She made him want to be better, do better, live differently. For the first time, he had something more valuable than power. He had someone who saw past the reputation and loved him anyway. They got married on a beach at sunset, just the two of them and an officiant. No press, no politics, no performance. "Promise me something," Sarah said, that night, her head on his chest, as waves crashed nearby. "I promise." For 3 years, he kept that promise. He pulled back from the darker parts of his business, started thinking about legitimate operations, started imagining a future that didn't end in violence. Sarah was his light. But now, standing in his penthouse with that photograph, Jin-woo realized there had been signs he'd ignored, small things that hadn't made sense. The way Sarah sometimes stared out windows with a faraway look, phone calls she'd taken in another room, nightmares she refused to talk about. Once he'd found her crying in the bathroom. When he asked what was wrong, she just held him and whispered, "I'm scared." Of what? She never answered. The night before she died, they'd argued. Something stupid about a dangerous meeting she'd begged him to skip. She said she had a bad feeling. He told her she was being paranoid. She'd looked at him with tears in her eyes. "You promised you'd choose love over power, Jin-woo, but you're still choosing the life." He left angry. When he came home hours later ready to apologize, she was already asleep. The next morning, she kissed him goodbye like always. "I love you," she said at the door. "I love you too," he'd replied, distracted by his phone. Those were the last words they ever spoke. 6 hours later came the call. Car accident. Multiple vehicle collision. Sarah Chen was dead. He'd raced to the hospital, but they wouldn't let him see her. Too traumatic, they said. He screamed, offered money, offered everything. The doctors held firm. The funeral was a blur. Closed casket covered in white roses. He remembered standing in the rain, unable to cry, unable to accept that she was gone. He found the drunk driver responsible and made sure he paid, made sure everyone connected to that man paid. It didn't bring her back. Nothing could. Or so he thought. Now his phone buzzed. Min-ho. "Sir, I have the files, but there's something you need to see." 20 minutes later, Jin-woo sat in his private office, documents spread across the desk. Medical records, police records, death certificate. Everything looked official, stamped, verified, except for one thing. "The attending physician," Min-ho said quietly, "Dr. Park Sung-min. He signed the death certificate and all the medical reports. And he doesn't exist, sir. The medical license number is fake. The hospital has no record of anyone by that name ever working there." Jin-woo's blood went cold. What about the body? Released to a crematorium the same day. No viewing, no autopsy, no questions. Everything was expedited through channels that required your signature. "I never signed anything." Min-ho pulled out another document. Jin-woo's signature was there, clear as day, authorizing immediate cremation. Forged. "Someone went to a lot of trouble to make sure you believed she was dead," said Min-ho, quietly. "Someone with access to official channels, medical records, and your personal seal." Jin-woo leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. "Someone inside my organization." "It looks that way, sir." The anger that had been building in his chest turned ice cold. Someone close to him had done this. Someone he trusted helped Sarah disappear and let him believe she was dead for 5 years. But why? Why would Sarah leave? Why would she let him suffer? His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. "Did you find the files?" The stranger's voice from the cemetery. "Who are you?" "Someone who knows the truth. Sarah didn't leave because she stopped loving you, Jin-woo. She left because staying would have killed you both." "What does that mean?" "It means you need to search her things, really search them. She left you a message." The line went dead. Jin-woo stood and walked to the bedroom he'd kept exactly as Sarah left it. Her clothes still hung in the closet. Her books still lined the shelves. He'd never been able to pack them away. He started searching, drawers, boxes, closets, looking for something, anything she might have hidden. Then he found it, behind a loose board in the back of her closet, a small leather journal, Sarah's diary. His hands trembled as he opened it. The last entry was dated 3 weeks before her death. I know what I have to do. I know it will destroy him, but staying will get us both killed. By the time he reads this, I'll already be gone. I'm so sorry, my love. This is the only way to keep you safe. Jinwoo's vision blurred. She knew. 3 weeks before that accident, Sarah knew she was going to disappear. She'd planned her own death. Subscribe right now. The next part reveals the truth behind Sarah's decision, the person hiding in the shadows, and the moment Jinwoo comes face to face with her. Jinwoo read the diary entry again, his hand shaking. Sarah had planned everything, the accident, the disappearance, the fake death. She knew 3 weeks in advance. But why? He flipped back through the pages, searching for answers. The entries from months before her death painted a picture he'd been too blind to see. Someone's been following me. I saw the same car 3 times this week. Jinwoo doesn't notice, but I can feel eyes on me everywhere I go.
If I stay, they'll use me against him. If I tell him, he'll do something reckless and get himself killed. Then came the final entries, written in the last week of her life. I found someone who can help me disappear. She says it's the only way. I have to die, at least on paper, so they'll stop using me as leverage. I met with Dr. Lee today. She used to work in witness protection before the program was shut down. She knows how to make someone vanish completely. The hardest part will be watching him grieve. But if I stay, we both die. If I go, at least he lives. Dr. Lee. Jinwoo grabbed his phone and called Minho again. I need you to find someone. Dr. Lee, first name unknown, worked in witness protection probably 10 to 15 years ago. On it, sir. Jinwoo kept reading. The final entry, written the night before the accident, made his heart break all over again. Tomorrow, I die. Tomorrow, I become someone else. I'll never see his face again, never hear his voice, never feel his arms around me. But he'll be safe. That's all that matters. I love you, Jinwoo. I'm sorry I'm not brave enough to tell you goodbye. Tears he'd held back for 5 years finally fell. She'd loved him enough to break both their hearts, loved him enough to let him believe the worst so he could survive. But who had threatened her? Who had been so deep inside his organization that she couldn't trust anyone? His phone rang. Minho. Sir, I found Dr. Lee, Dr. Lee Min-jung, formerly with the National Intelligence Service Witness Protection Division. She was dismissed 12 years ago for allegedly helping witnesses disappear outside official channels. Where is she now? That's the thing, sir. She died 4 years ago. Car accident. Another convenient accident. Jinwoo's jaw clenched. Someone's cleaning up loose ends. There's more. I pulled surveillance footage from around the time of Sarah's accident. You need to see this. Minho sent a video file. Jinwoo opened it on his computer. The timestamp showed the morning of Sarah's death. The footage was from a traffic camera 2 blocks from the accident site. He watched Sarah's car drive past. Normal traffic, nothing unusual. Then a second car appeared, following at a distance. Jinwoo zoomed in on the license plate, and his blood turned to ice. The car belonged to his head of operations, Lee Tae-sung, his most trusted advisor for 15 years, the man who'd stood beside him at Sarah's funeral, the man who'd helped him hunt down everyone supposedly responsible for her death. Lee Tae-sung had been following Sarah the morning she disappeared. Jinwoo's hands curled into fists. Tae-sung had been there. He'd helped orchestrate the fake accident, the false medical reports, the cremation. He'd looked Jinwoo in the eye for 5 years, knowing the truth. But the truth was far worse than betrayal. If Tae-sung had helped Sarah disappear, that meant he knew who'd been threatening her, which meant he was either protecting Jinwoo or he was part of the group that wanted to use Sarah against him. Jinwoo needed answers, and he needed them now. He found Tae-sung in his usual spot at the organization's headquarters, reviewing shipment manifests like it was any other Thursday night. "We need to talk," Jinwoo said, closing the door behind him. Tae-sung looked up, and something flickered in his eyes. Fear. "What about?" "About Sarah." Tae-sung's face went carefully blank. "Sir, I don't think—" Jinwoo slammed the diary on the desk. "I knew she knew someone inside was compromised. She knew someone was threatening her, and I have traffic footage of you following her car the morning she died." The silence stretched between them. Finally, Tae-sung sighed and leaned back in his chair. "I was wondering when you'd figure it out. Talk, now." "It was your uncle," Tae-sung said quietly. "Jin-ho." Jinwoo felt the floor drop out from under him. His uncle, his father's brother, the man who'd helped him build his empire from nothing. "You're lying." "I wish I was. Jin-ho wanted you out, wanted to take over the organization himself, but you were too strong, too careful, so he decided to go after your only weakness." "Sarah," Tae-sung nodded. "He had people following her for months, planted listening devices, made threats. His plan was to kidnap Sarah, use her to force you to step down, then kill you both anyway. And you knew about this?" "Not at first. When I found out, I went to Sarah directly, told her everything. She made me promise not to tell you because she knew you'd go after Jin-ho and start a war that would get you killed." Tae-sung's voice cracked. "She loved you enough to break both our hearts." Jinwoo's vision blurred. "So you helped her disappear." "I helped her survive."
For a while, Jin-ho backed off, waited. But recently, Tae-sung pulled out his phone and showed Jinwoo a message. He's been asking questions about Sarah again. I think he suspects she's alive. The message was from 3 months ago, right around the time that photograph was taken in Malaysia. "He's looking for her," Jinwoo said, "which means she's in danger, which is probably why the woman approached you at the cemetery. Someone needs to warn Sarah that Jin-ho's hunting again." Jinwoo grabbed Tae-sung by the collar. "Where is she?" "I don't know. That was the agreement. Dr. Lee handled everything. I only knew she was going somewhere in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, maybe Vietnam. She didn't tell me specifically, so I couldn't accidentally give it away." "Then how do I find her?" "The woman who approached you, the one in the black coat? That's Dr. Lee's daughter, Lee Yuna. If anyone knows how to reach Sarah, it's her." Jinwoo released him and pulled out his phone, dialing the number that had called him earlier. It rang once before someone answered. "You figured it out," Yuna's voice said. "I need to find her, now. Your uncle's men are already looking. If you go charging in, you'll lead them right to her." "Then what do I do?" "You meet me tomorrow, noon, Hanggang Park, North Entrance. Come alone. I'll tell you everything." The line went dead. Jinwoo stood there, his mind racing. Sarah was alive. His uncle had tried to use her against him, and now, 5 years later, the same threat was circling back. The next day, Jinwoo arrived at Hanggang Park exactly at noon. Yuna was already there, sitting on a bench overlooking the river. She's in Penang, Malaysia. She's been teaching English at a small school, living under the name Michelle Park. "I need an address. Before I give it to you, you need to understand something. Sarah left to save your life. If you show up now, if your uncle's men follow you, everything she sacrificed was for nothing." "I don't care. I need to see her." Yuna studied his face for a long moment, then handed him a piece of paper with the address. "She doesn't know I'm doing this. For what it's worth, she never stopped loving you. She just loved you enough to let you go." Jinwoo took the first flight to Penang that night. The address led him to a small apartment building near the beach. He stood outside for 10 minutes, trying to find the courage to knock. Then the door opened, and she was there. Sarah. Older, her hair different, wearing clothes he'd never seen. But her eyes, those eyes he'd loved, were the same. She stared at him like she was seeing a ghost. "Jinwoo," she whispered, "you're alive. I can explain. You let me believe you were dead for 5 years." Tears filled her eyes.
I had to. Your uncle was going to kill you. This was the only way. You should have told me. We could have fought together. And we both would have died, her voice broke. I couldn't watch you die, Jinwoo. I couldn't. They stood there, 5 years of grief and love and pain between them. I never stopped loving you, she said quietly, not for one single day. Jinwoo stepped forward and pulled her into his arms. She collapsed against him, sobbing. But even as he held her, one question burned in his mind. If she'd been alive all this time, safe and hidden in Malaysia, why had Yuna approached him now? Why reveal the truth after 5 years? He pulled back and looked at Sarah. Why now? Why did Yuna tell me where you were? Sarah's face went pale. What do you mean? I didn't ask her to contact you. Jinwoo's blood ran cold. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. A photo attached. It showed him and Sarah standing in her doorway, taken from across the street. Below the photo, one line. Thank you for finding her for us. Jinwoo spun around, but the street was empty. His uncle's men were already here. He'd led them right to her. If you want to know what happens next, if you want to see how Jinwoo protects Sarah this time, you need to subscribe to this channel right now. Drop a comment telling me what you think Jinwoo should do. Hit that like button, because the real question isn't whether Sarah survived the first time. It's whether she'll survive what's coming next. And here's the question that should keep you up at night. If Sarah was alive all this time, safe and hidden, why did she come back now? Or did someone force her hand? Subscribe. You won't want to miss what happens next.